Hey everybody, welcome back to the Space Traveler's Heroics Guide, which is so relevant. Really, it's relevant. This is Soul, and today we are taking a look at the heroic Throne of the Tides instance. This dungeon actually has 4 bosses, but the vast majority of situations, only 3 of them get killed, so we'll only be looking at 3 bosses today. A lot of the trash is really similar in here. You have these mobs called NOS Jar Spirit Menders, who cast druidy spells, including Healing Wave, which is actually a shaman spell, but there you go. So you need to have interrupters on them, or just burst DPS the hell out of them, one or the other. Whatever makes you happy. And then the NOS Jar Invaders have an ability called Bubble Shield, which can be purged or spell stolen. Causes some reflect damage, so I'm gonna take it as you will. A note on our group setup here. Did this with 3 guildies and 2 pugs, paladin tank. Believe it was a Frost DK, Zeranthus, Affliction Warlock, myself, my Shadow Priest, Glitch, and Catlia doing the healing as Holy Priest. Another different type of trash mob we have here, we're taking a look at the NOS Jar Sentinel. He has about 1,000,000 health, so he usually hangs out by his onesies. He does really one main ability that causes any sort of aggravation, and you can kind of see it right there, the little green puddles of poisony puke. If you happen to see green shit under you, move. That's about all there is to it. Now I've gone ahead and skipped ahead. This is actually the gauntlet before, or the gauntlet leading up to the run-up to the first boss. You have 3 sets of elite mobs here. The first set is 2 NOS Jar Invaders. The second set, as you're going to see here momentarily, after we kill the... there's also waves of about half a dozen Deep Murloc Drudgers or some such nonsense. They're AoE trash. The second set is 1 Spirit Mender, 1 Invader. And then the final set is 2 Spirit Menders. All the while, your tank has to be aware of the Drudgers, so that they don't come fuck up your healer, more or less. But the main idea in this gauntlet is just, move when you're comfortable. Your healer's not going to get a chance to get mana, so healer really needs to be aware of when to and when not to heal, just as I need to be aware of where my microphone is, so I don't blow your eardrums out when I beat on it. So as you can see, we're just kind of finishing off the Murlocs at this point. Oh, I lied. It was an unholy DK. Now we come to the last bunch of trash here, which I'm only going to show the second set of. Usually you get 2 casters and 3 invaders. Mostly I left this bit in because I enjoy what mind control can do as far as crowd control goes. You have a Shadow Priest, mind control, the Spirit Mender ideally. They also introduce a new piece of trash here called a NOS Jar Tempest Witch, basically an elemental shaman. They don't really put out a lot of damage, they're just a pain in the ass to tank. And then you have another Sentinel coming in as a patrol, which if you don't pull this group back far enough, he becomes an issue, or if you just don't care. And your tank's paying enough attention to come pick up the Sentinel when he matriculates his way into the pull. So again, the same rule as before. If the green shit's underneath the tank or the melee pile, the tank should move the sentinel. So there's no unnecessary healing needing to go out. Now we'll take a look here at the first boss, Lady NOS Jar. She is a 2-phase encounter. The first phase, well, talk about it here in a minute when we pull. But basically she has 2 phases here. The first phase, she's got 3 main abilities. The first one is called Geyser, which you should see here in just a moment. Okay, I guess that's the last thing she's going to do. There's Geyser. Basically, it's going to put a little pool of water underneath a player, and we'll shoot them up, give them an enema, and fire them up into the air if they happen to get hit by it. Second ability she has, so you can see my deadly boss mods yelling at me, is called Shock Blast. It really hurts the tank, although if your tank overgears the encounter, it's less of an issue. But should be interrupted just to spare your healer some mana. And the third ability she has is called Fungal Spores. Not really sure if that really does anything relevant. And you just kind of saw the chaos that is phase 2, where she goes into the middle of the room, puts a big deflection whirlpool shield around herself, and summons 3 adds, 2 Tempest Witches and an Invader. Usually at the current state of gear level, you'll usually crowd control one of the casters, tank picks up the other caster and the melee guy, and then, you know, kind of kill in whichever order you feel most comfortable with. And she goes into phase 2 twice during the fight, at 66 and 33%. You can see here we went with the mind control option since, well, quite frankly, it was the only crowd control we had available. And it was actually fairly effective. I could pump out a lot of DPS with that stupid little witch. Anyway, basically the key to this fight is managing phase 2 and remembering to interrupt Shock Blast. Another note about phase 2, you see the tornadoes that she spawns. Try to avoid them. They're kind of a pain to avoid, but do your best. Alright, down she goes. Useless loot drops. And now we move on to the second boss after a cutscene. There's no trash in between these two.